already, YouTube Live. I just finished watching The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 5, titled What Comes After, and they marked this as Andrew Lincoln's character Rick Grimes' final episode. Well, spoiler alert, I will discuss spoilers in this video, as always, with all my recap videos or TV episodes reviews. There will be spoilers. So here we go. Voila! Turns out Rick Grimes survives at the end. You would think that getting stabbed in a very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Area of the body where if you get stabbed, there's no way you could survive it, especially with the amount of blood that he has lost throughout this episode. I mean, you would think that he would just fall down to the ground and just die within minutes, but man, that dude just keeps on walking. The walking alive, the walking Rick. Let's see, who's the writer of this one? Let's see, who's the writer of the episode? Well, the director of the episode is Greg Nicotero, the makeup maestro, the special effects maestro. So overall, I think this is a fantastic episode in that, when people tell you that, I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but in your dying bed, at your final moments, your life flashes before your eyes. At least that's the assumption out there. We'll never know for sure until we're actually on our dying beds. But so the episode goes in and out of like Rick's consciousness, Rick's not necessarily dreams, but yeah, consciousness, because many of the characters from the past seasons showed up. Freaking Shane shows up. As you all know, John Bernthal was scheduled to appear in this season, and Herschel shows up, Maggie's dad. I believe the actor's name is Scott Wilson. Scott Wilson passed away recently, so I guess he managed to film this episode, before his untimely passing. May he rest in peace. And another person that shows up is Sasha, Sonika Martin Green. Apparently, she found the time out of her Star Trek Discovery schedule to appear as one of the ghosts in Rick's dreams, if you will, I guess consciousness, whatever you want to call it. I like it. I like this whole episode. I like how Frank Darabont directs it. All those characters I just mentioned to you, at the end of their conversation with Rick, they always like either scream at him or, I don't know, touch him, and they would be like telling him to wake up. The scariest part is Shane, because Shane is just like transforms into the zombie, like, rah, is about to bite Rick. It's a very heartfelt episode. I guess the word I'm looking for as well is nostalgic. It brings back memories, because those characters, Shane, Herschel, and Sasha, bring up some of the other names that we've come to know if we've watched this show since the beginning, And throughout this episode, also names like Glenn, Abraham, and Carl, and then the Rick is like, I need to find my family. So at least for me, I get flashbacks of man, I can't remember the names right now at the moment, but the people from season 1. Now there's a shot in this episode where Rick is standing in the middle of dead bodies. Now I was actually half hoping that some of the faces on those dead bodies are the people from season 1 or season 2, season 3, but no. I mean, I saw faces of Jesus and Maggie, and so they're current people. So that's why Rick is asking, like, why are they dead? They're not supposed to be dead. They're not dead yet. Um, the part with Shane, that really gets me, because Shane is like, he's very confrontational. So in his in their conversation, is Shane's like saying, "Hey, it should have been me that survived. It should have been me that leads these people, not you." And you get to wonder. At least for me, I was like, would Shane have done a better job? Would Shane have done a better job as the leader as opposed to Rick? Um, that's something to wonder about. Um, and throughout his consciousness from one to the next, you see Rick apologizing to Shane, apologizing to Herschel, apologizing to Sasha, because he's saying, maybe if I had done something differently, maybe if I had read enough books or whatever, maybe you would not have died on my watch, something along that line. And I mean, I'm not a leader of anything. I'm just a small business owner. But from the perspective of a leader, if you are a leader out there, you could probably relate, because this burden, man, that he's like, man, because he's facing these ghosts, people that in his head, man, like he's saying, like, I was responsible for these people, and they died, so it must have been my fault. Um, so that must have weighed really heavily on Rick's shoulders. Um, it was nicely filmed. This episode was nicely filmed. The music by Bear McCreary, man, just a heart wrenching, just like gets you right here. With the violence, is like, I teared up a little bit. I kid you not. I'm not gonna lie to you. I teared up a little bit. Um, as far as before we get back to Rick, in the previous episode, I told you in the previous recap episode that I assumed that they were done with the storyline for Anna. The woman, the junkyard lady, the scavengers lady. I thought they were done with her storyline. That they're just gonna move on from her. That she's gonna ride off into the sunset. But nope. Turns out she returns in this episode, and that catches me by surprise. But it's not like I'm shocked or anything. It's just kind of like I'm a little somewhat disappointed. Because like, really, what else there needs to be done about her? But I was wrong. Turns out she's the one that helps Rick at the end. So gotta give credit where credit's due. Um, the mystery about the helicopter, though. Unfortunately for us, at least I have not read the comic books. So maybe if you have read the comic books, you would know about these helicopters and what group they belong to. At least for us, just the fans of the show will never know, because at the end they fly off. She brings Rick onto the helicopter. I'm assuming it's to some kind of a base where he would get some kind of a treatment, but we never get to see it. In the end, it just time jumps to when Judith's all grown up, a teenager Judith, and she is as badass as her dad and her brother. Um, so it kind of sucks because I really, really want to know what those helicopters are about. But because of the time jumps, who knows when the writers will take us to, wherever Anna is, and her companions. Because I was informed, or I was under the impression that this episode is Rick's final episode. So if this episode is Rick's final episode, that means, and if the fact that Rick survives, as you know, if you've seen the episode, then it means that we're not gonna find out about Rick's fate till God knows when. It could be season 11, season 13. It all is up to the showrunner, or is up to the producers, up to the writers when they want to bring his character back. But at least we know that he doesn't really die. Um, but when we're gonna come back to that mystery of the helicopters and Anna's friends and where Rick is hiding, we'll never know when we're gonna get to see that. So it's a shame. But at the same time, I am excited of this. I don't want to say teenage, maybe middle junior Judith, junior high Judith. She carries katana and she carries a gun and she carries the hat. She's a combination of Michonne and Rick. You can tell that she's well trained because she helps that group at the end. And by the way, that group features Dan Fogler, the actor Dan Fogler, whom I've interviewed before, and he's also in the movie Fantastic Beasts that's coming up, Fantastic Beasts 2. So it's interesting that in this season he has a new movie coming up, and he's in this new season of The Walking Dead. Um, Before I conclude, I also want to cover that part where Maggie confronts Negan. Um, that's a powerful scene right there in my book, um, especially when Maggie is about to enter the prison, but Michonne, stands in the way, and that conversation between them, it's like, what are you gonna do? You can't do this. And then it turns into like, okay, but can you live with what comes after? Man, some good writing tonight. Um, and you can tell that Negan is no longer Negan. Wow. She comes there to kill Negan, but what she finds is not Negan. He's a prisoner, worn out, beaten down. His spirit is crushed. He wants to die. So I guess Maggie's expecting a fight or some kind of which is interesting though, because Negan in this episode starts out by describing how he kills Glenn so graphically, so vividly, talking about eyeball and blood coming gushing out of head, whatever, down to the last detail. So you would think that there's still a bit of Negan in there, but then boom, it switches to this old man. That's just like, I guess he's baiting Maggie to kill him. He's begging her to kill him, and it's just like, wow, yeah, I understand why Maggie wouldn't at the end. Um, it doesn't feel the same. She's expecting the guy who killed her husband, but that's not what she finds. That whole scene, it's just so powerful. Um, I'm still confused though. I thought I was under the impression that Lauren Cohen, will be her final season too. This will be her final season as well. Um, Now that the time jumps ahead, what happens to her fate as well? We know that Rick survives, but did Maggie die during the time between toddler Judy and middle junior Judith? So many questions in my head, man. That scene with the bridge. Um, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know why Rick thinks that's a good idea, blowing that bridge up. I don't even know why the idea of shepherding a herd of walkers is a good idea. Jeez, there's got to be another solution to handle those things. Um, so, in conclusion, great send off. It's a great send off to Rick Grimes. Um, Gonna miss the guy though, but I got a feeling we're gonna see him again because he's not dead. He did not turn into a walker, but it's gonna be a while until that day happens when we see him again. Um, the show has moved on. Um, So many questions now. I wonder how. Let's see. What's I wonder how Daryl is as a leader. In the absence of Rick. Um, yeah, got three more episodes in this first half of season 9, but it feels like a season finale. It's really really well done. I like how very emotionally devastating it is, and man, um, 9 years with Andrew Lincoln. When you've been with a character that long, you're so emotionally invested. You know, not seeing Rick Grimes in another episode of The Walking Dead is a drastic change. Gonna take some time to get used to that scene, definitely. All right, that's my long rambling about The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 5, titled What Comes After. What do you think comes after now that Rick is no longer with the show? Share your thoughts about it in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe to my channel. And if you can support the channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. I'm signing off. Gotta crash. It's late at night. See you tomorrow morning. Let's rock this.